I never know where to look at the camera. I should know where this is. Because it's right there. The camera is right there. What? No. I mean, yes, but no. But yes? Anyways. Hi. 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 I'm so awkward. I never know what to say. I never know how to introduce myself or like get this party started. I want to burst out in song, but I won't. I'll restrain myself. But that's no fun. It's no fun. Anyways, I do that. I do something random, and then I go, anyways, and then I carry on. It's how I do things. It's wonderful. Yeah. Anyways. So it is Monday. Yay, Monday. And I just got finished with my writing session, which was good. Duh. Yeah, it was good. It was a good session. I didn't do as much writing as I think I did last week on Monday, but it was good because I feel like some parts kind of clicked together in a nice way that I wasn't really expecting, which just goes to show that I shouldn't really expect anything of this and should just let it organically grow into what it's supposed to be. And yet nonetheless, I'm like, I have expectations for this, and this is the way it's gonna be. And then it always blows up in my face in a good way. It's a good explosion. Good dynamic. Dynamic? Who knows? Anyways. Who knows, whatever I'm trying to say. Good. Yes, so it was a good session, and I kind of wrote for about an hour, 15 minutes, hour and a half, something like that. This week I'm probably gonna have a little bit less time to write than I did last week, but so I was kind of planning on writing a little bit more today, or writing in longer chunks when I do have time to write throughout the week. But I kind of ended up at a good spot where I was just like, I kind of just want to end it here and then pick it back up tomorrow and see, and then kind of carry on the flow that way, just so that I don't know, whenever I get to a point where I feel like this is a good place to stop, I feel like it's just a good place to stop instead of pushing myself to kind of just write for longer, or to write for longer and then end up in a spot where I'm not as comfortable with stopping, and then end up finding that I've written for 4 hours or something like that. And that's not bad, but that's ultimately not what I'm hoping to achieve with this little guy, with this plan of writing for only an hour or 2 hours per day throughout the work week and throughout non-holidays, stuff like that. So that is the plan, and hopefully, I've been able to stick to the plan pretty well, so that's been good. So yeah, so first day done. Today's been a busy day. I am quite tired, as I usually am, because the tired is real, and the tired happens. And so I think that's the other part to why I wrote a little bit less today, because I'm sleepy. And to be quite honest, I started the Hunger Games yesterday. the Hunger Games yesterday, and I really want to finish the first one. Because listen, guys, like, I've not actually ever read the books, and it's one of those things, that it gets so hot for so long, and like people are reading it left and right, and you miss the train, and then once you miss the train, it's kind of hard to jump onto the tracks and be like, oh yeah, it's been like 10 years since it got published and everybody was so excited about it, but yeah, I'm totally on board now. I always feel like I missed the trends, and then once I actually get involved in the trends and get involved in the story and see how awesome it actually was, and is that everybody is kind of over it. They're like, yeah, we knew. Where were you? And I was like, I was on the other trend that happened 20 years ago. Or I'm on some weird alley trend where I'm just obsessed with Russian lit or like old British lit, which is actually kind of never a trend that I stop trending. A trend that I don't stop trending. Anyways, whatever. Words are hard. My brain is fried. This is usual. This is fine. Everything's fine. But yeah, so so I'm looking forward to finishing up the first book and seeing what happens. I pretty much already know what happens because I will actually watch the movies. I'm bad. But yeah, the books are so totally different. I'm not necessarily different, but the entire I don't know, atmosphere, the entire way that she structured the book, it's better than the movies. I like the books better. I tend to. And I tend to be pretty good at not disassociating, but like differentiating between. I'm good at disassociating too. Haha. But differentiating. Why do I feel nice about that? Why did I get excited about that? But differentiating between the books and the movies and separating them and kind of looking at them at their own separate entity. I've always been really good at that. But because I compartmentalize really well. Yeah, welcome to my brain. But anyways, I want to finish it because why not? Because I'm sleepy and I want to read something good and I want to read something that makes me happy. And good writing makes me really, really happy. Especially good YA writing and good YA writing that is not silly. I mean, there's a place for silly YA too, but I like really good, chunky, meaty YA. That's really good. But yeah. So, anyways, something that I've been thinking about because I talk about what I think about a lot in these little vloggy thingies. Not just about my writing and stuff like that, but just the writing community and my thoughts about it as well. And one of the things that I've kind of been thinking about is the idea of I don't know exactly how to describe it. It's kind of hard. The idea that I guess when I was a kid and on my what's it called? My little banner thingy on my YouTube channel, there's a little prosy, wordy nonsense stuff written on there that I took a picture of. And that was actually my writing back in 2012 or something like that. I was dealing with some stuff, as I tend to be dealing with stuff. And I was dealing with some stuff and I was really just trying to work through, I don't know, being of the darkness. And then, because when I was, before I became a Christian, in even longer, I mean, me becoming a Christian was definitely a large part of me turning away from, whoa, that's spinny. Was a big part of me turning away from the darkness, but my infatuation with the darkness definitely had something to do with me being, a part of the world. But at the same time, there was a deeper attraction to it than I probably other people maybe experience. And that was due to my sickness that I experienced as a kid. And so I was, extremely depressed and extremely just disconnected with the world. And kind of due to that, I wrote very, very dark things. And so in that little prosy piece on my banner, which was in 2012, I was kind of just talking about how it was so enticing, the darkness, and I was thinking about how I don't know. I think one of the reasons, one of the fears I had when I first started writing again was that because I didn't need the darkness anymore, because I wasn't of the darkness anymore, that I didn't, you know, have that inside of me anymore due to that fact that I wasn't dealing with my depression and my situation in such a dark tone anymore, that somehow my writing would be worse off because of that. Like, I needed that darkness, I needed that depression, I needed that angst, I needed that rawness, that like knife in your gut kind of prose kind of writing, you know? And because I look back at my old writing from when I was a kid, I'm like, I was a good writer. Like, I was a good little writer. And I say that without any egos, hopefully. I don't think that there's any ego involved. I think I look at it from a very, I don't know, more as a reader perspective rather than, oh, this is my writing. I think I've always kind of looked at my own writing just as writing. and as a reader, I read it and be like, I like that, or I don't like that, As a reader, like, if am I entertained by my own writing? Am I not entertained by my own writing? If I'm not entertained by my own writing, then I kind of have this assumption that probably other people won't be entertained by my writing. So I try to entertain myself by my own writing. And anyways, so looking back, I can kind of see that, like, I was a good little writer. And even, like, reading this stuff back from 2012, I was just like, I don't even know if I write like that anymore. Like, not that I don't write well anymore, but it's just almost a completely different style of writing. Like, I have become a different person since then. But at the same time, there's a voice inside of me that says, you're a different person, but has your writing gotten worse because of it? And one, I think that that's a lie. I definitely think that it's changed, but I don't think it necessarily has changed for the worse. I think it's just that my environment has changed, my mindset has changed, the way that I view things has changed, my perspective has changed. And because of that, it's just taken on a different tone of voice, And it's not as raw, it's not as visceral as it used to be. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but at the same time, I used to have all these voices inside of me that said it is a bad thing. If your readers don't have that visceral connection, then what do you have, And they're not going to enjoy your writing if they don't feel you, And that's obviously a lie, but it is one that kept me stuck for a long time, and it's taken me a while to get used to the fact that I have changed. And, like, I mean that in almost a weird way. Like, there's lots of aspects in my life that I'm really glad that I changed, and I keep on hoping that I continue to change, because there's still a lot of my life that I'm like, no, be better. Be better about all the things, okay, Allie? Be better about all the things. But there's lots of different things that I see growth, and I see change, and I see light, and I see goodness, and I'm like, yeah, thank you, Jesus, this is good. But, at the same time, I look at my writing, and I'm like, it's different. Okay. Like, it makes me a little bit sad that it's so different, and that I like it. It's almost like I like it a little bit less, And I'm trying to work on that. To be perfectly honest, I haven't worked it out entirely. And I'm trying to look at it from a different perspective and try to look at it as, that maybe I don't have that visceral aspect to my writing anymore. Well, one, it's a good thing, because it means that I don't necessarily have that darkness anymore. But it also means that I used to, So that means that I have an outsider's perspective now of something that I had an insider's perspective of. And so I think that gives me an interesting viewpoint, I don't know, perspective that I can even put into my writing now. And I think that just means that my audience is going to change, and that it just means that I have to learn how to be honest again with my writing, and honest to my heart, honest to what's going currently on inside of my brain, because I think that was one of the main things I really liked about my writing as a kid, was that it's just brutal. Like, it's just brutally honest. And it's spoken so well, because because I know that all I did was think about things and life and my brain to not a healthy degree. So it's fascinating. I had all this time, so of course, like, I dedicated so much time to my writing, so it makes sense that my writing was good, I practiced so much, and I practiced honesty, and I practiced, like, just bleeding wound honesty of just like, here's my heart, here's my soul, do you see it, do you feel it, is it creeping you out, because it could be. And like, I just want to be able to get to that point again where I'm not necessarily, like, I can be honest and, like, reveal myself, but in the revealing show that it's not what it was, Like, I feel like when I moved from that state of rawness, I kind of faded into this place of just kind of containment, and like how I've been saying, just kind of like structure and just, I don't know, monitoring, managing. And I think when that happened, my writing took on that flavor as well, that taste as well, of just being managed and being well thought out, instead of it just being like a steady stream of consciousness of just me just going bleh, And it's not like, when I say that, like, I'm no longer a part of the darkness anymore, I mean that, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I don't still see the darkness in the world, and I don't still experience darkness. I'm just not, it's just not who I am anymore. It's just not my identity anymore. And I'm so grateful for that. And so but it's not even like I have to necessarily be speaking about the darkness in order to be a good writer. But at the same time, I feel like there is still a side of me that is just like, that's part of what you need to be speaking about, Allie. You need to be speaking about the darkness too, and the light, both of them. And as I've grown up, I think that I've experienced that I've become a more balanced human being to some degree. I don't know. And I'm grateful for that. I'm able to see both sides better. I'm less like teeter-tottering off to one side, and more just like sitting in the middle, just going, oh, okay, we're a little down today. That's okay. We're gonna get back up. Oh, I'm a little high. Well, that's good too. We'll just get back down. Up, a little low, Up, all the way down. Crash, burn, death. Goodness. Oh, I'm so wiggly today. I'm cold, and my blanket's over there. So close and yet so far away. But yeah, so I think that, that's part of what I want to, dark. It's part of what I want to address in my writing, is that you don't necessarily have to be in the midst of trauma and darkness and death and devastation in order to write well. I think that there are people who can do that, and there's some brilliant writing out there that is how people deal with the current situation that they're in. I know that that's exactly what I was experiencing when I was a kid and I was writing these things. That was how I was dealing. That was how I was managing my current situation. instead of being super self-destructive. And I still even was super self-destructive, but the fact that I wasn't as super self-destructive as I could have been, I think it largely has to do with my outlets of my writing, of I loved exercise, like all these different kinds of stuff. And so just recognizing that, you know, that you don't necessarily need the darkness in order to be a good writer, but at the same time, I think for me, it's really important me to still acknowledge that darkness exists, and that darkness exists in the world, but so does light. And so even though I'm not a part of the darkness anymore, that's not where I find my identity anymore, I think I need to, one, give myself grace of where my writing currently is, because I haven't had as much time to practice. I haven't had as much time as I did as a kid to spend hours and hours and hours the entire night long on writing. And so it's going to be a little bit different because of that, but it's also going to be a little bit different because I'm different. And I think I also have to just acknowledge the fact that I do still want to write about the darkness, but not in the same way, not in the same I'm currently experiencing it sort of way, in kind of a distanced but aware sort of way, you know? So, I don't know. This might be like a really fine-tuned niche problem that I might be experiencing. Maybe, you guys are experiencing it as well. You know, the idea of maybe feeling like you're more creative when you're in a slump or when you're in a dark place. And I think that it's just really important to acknowledge when we are in dark places and acknowledge our creativity when we are in dark places, but also recognize the fact that we don't necessarily need the darkness and we don't necessarily need that trauma in order to continue to write, in order to continue to be the best writer that we can be. And just being able to give ourselves grace for each one of those moments, each one of those, sides, and some of us, we don't have, those of us who are experiencing depression and anxiety, we don't really have a choice of when those moments happen sometimes, And so because of that, I think just all the more important for us to, acknowledge each moment for what it is, that when we're hitting bottom and if we do feel super creative and do feel like we can write and explore during those dark times, then that's probably what we need. We need to be able to create in those times, and that's what we need to be able to create. But at the same time, don't allow our fears, or at least this is me talking to myself, but maybe you experience this as well, but don't allow my fears to stop me from writing on the good days as well. And don't be afraid that it's different. Don't be afraid that it's different than those oozy, creative, visceral times that, those darker times can create as well. So, hey, burp, welcome. But yes, so this has been kind of me just talking about this very specific issue this entire time, but it's something that I'm really working out and really trying to figure out, and it's a huge, like I said, it's a huge part of the reason why I stopped writing, because I didn't know if I could write as well as I did when I was a kid and when I was so sick, and I had so much to write about all of the different things that I was feeling and all the different things that I was experiencing. And I think I just need to recognize again that I still have a lot of thoughts and I still have a lot of feelings and I'm still experiencing a lot. And instead of wrapping them up or shoving them down or just dealing with it like I try, put it on paper, get it out there, get it out of you, get it out of me. And still recognize and just being honest in those moments as well, just like how I was when I was a kid, just how I was when I was a teenager. Instead of being afraid of what other people might think, instead of being afraid of actually admitting to ourselves that this is what we're thinking and this is what we're actually feeling. And instead of being afraid that somebody is going to find it, I don't know. When I was a teenager, I just feel like I had, I don't know, like I feel like many teenagers, they have that mindset of, the world is kind of all about them. We tend to have a very self-centered view of our world as teenagers. And I think we probably have a very self-centered view of our world throughout our entire lives as well. But it's very, when we're a teenager, it's a very specific kind of phenomenon. But at the same time, my teenage experience was that, it was very self-centered experience, but I didn't feel like people were watching me at all. I didn't really feel like people were judging me or viewing me or really saw me at all. And of course, a lot of that has to do with my own personal experience of being sick and not going to school. And so people weren't watching me. There was no one there. So it maps out. So, but I think because of that, I had a sense of freedom that I could say whatever I wanted to say, and I did say whatever I wanted to say, And now I don't necessarily want to say whatever I want to say, but at the same time, I still want to speak with honesty, and I still want to speak with, without that fear of judgment, without that fear that, oh, people are going to know. Oh, people are going to see me. Oh, they're going to think that I'm a bad girl. They're going to think that I'm a bad Christian. They're going to think. Well, I don't even know what they think. I don't even know, and I get freaked out because of it. And yeah, I want to get some of that back, not like Gone with the Wind, everything goes, sort of get that back, but that honesty, that willingness to just bear as much as I can bear to the world. And I think some of it has to do with when I was a kid, I could do that for myself, That was okay. It was okay for me to just write because I needed to write. It was okay for me to just get it out because I needed to get it out. Not so that it was hurting anybody, because I was never writing about anybody else. I was just writing about myself. So it wasn't hurting anybody, else, except, my poor parents that would sometimes read it and just be like, oh my gosh, she's so depressed. Our poor daughter. And my poor parents, I love them so much, but they put up with so much. But yeah, and so I was so okay with just doing me, And now I've become less okay with just doing me and just being okay with writing for my sake and writing for just the sake of freedom, just as a tool that God gave me to be able to breathe a little easier. And I do want to write for other people. I do want to help other people. I do want to encourage other people. But I also think it's okay for me to write for myself as well. And I think it's okay for me, especially in these beginning days where I'm just figuring stuff out with my writing again. I think it's okay for me to just acknowledge that this is mine for a little while, and that it's okay for me to do it for myself, and hopefully it reaches other people, and hopefully it touches other people, and I hope that it's able to inspire other people. But that's then, that'll be at that time. And for now, I just want it to be okay that it's just mine for a little bit, for a little while longer, you know? And so, and I am getting okay with that. And I hope that, you know, as you're writing, if you guys are a writer, whatever you do, whatever your craft is, whatever, you know, your creative, I don't know, outlet is, or, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be creative necessarily, although I think that all things are creative in a lot of different ways, more than we give them self credit, more than we give them credit. You know, we're very creative beings. That's how God made us. So we create, and it's glorious. But yeah, just allowing ourselves and whatever we're creating to just, it's okay for it to be ours, and it's okay to do it for ourselves. And it's okay to have the hope that someday it'll touch other people as well. Yeah. Just to take it as it comes, I guess, and to take it just each step at a time, I guess. Yeah. So this is, I guess these suckers are getting longer and longer. This is not good. This is not good. Anyways, I hope that you enjoyed this little vlog chat time. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments section. And yeah, I hope that you guys have a great day. Tomorrow is Tuesday, so I should be writing, so I should be doing another vlog. Yep, hopefully. We're trucking along, we're figuring things out. Hopefully I don't spend 15 minutes like this one. For the first 15 minutes of me just ranting, rambling, and staring at the camera. Actually gets the meat, but I'm a rambler. Please, hopefully that's okay. Anyways, okay. I love you guys. Jesus loves you. I will see you next time. Bye bye, darlings.